So to get started, I guess can you all take turns kind of talking a little bit about your overall career path and how you got started in PR? John, do you want to start?
Sure. I mean, I guess I got started in entertainment PR because I loved television and film. And as I told my mom, I wanted a job that didn't suck. And I wanted to work in an industry that I was really interested in. So my first job out of college was at Warner here in Rockefeller Center, working on annual reports and quarterly financial statements, which was like really boring. And from there I switched and went and worked for a much smaller agency that did consumer products and restaurants and food, which I also found boring. And then from there I went to another smaller PR firm that primarily did television shows, film, and some corporate entertainment publicity. And I found it not boring. So I've been doing that for the past 20 years and went out on my own about 5 or 6 years ago with my own company.
Great. Katie?
So I also wanted to be in film and television, so I started working at, I'm going to talk towards the microphone, started working at a film company, Miramax Films, in PR. I also worked in production of films, and then I ended up sort of back in the PR department of Miramax, finding that I had found my niche that worked for me as a job, as it was more enjoyable. And then I left to a smaller company where I was an in-house PR marketing person, and a few years after that went out on my own.
I wasn't initially thinking about entertainment PR as a career, but I was always a music fan, and I took a lot of chances. And I saw, when I was looking for a summer internship, an ad in the Village Voice that said, if you like alternative rock and rap music, send your resume here, and I did, and that became a life-changing internship for me. I worked at Set to Run PR every time I was home from school, and that set me off on a path of entertainment PR. I had a ton of internships, and then I worked at several labels. I worked at a label called The Enclave that no longer exists now, but it was run by the guy who signed Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue. I then went to work at Roadrunner Records, which is a hard rock label. I worked there for 7 years. I actually worked there 2 times. In between, I worked at Universal Records, and I was the head of rock and pop publicity. I wound up working bigger and bigger artists as I went along, and I really wasn't changing things for people towards the end of my tenure at Roadrunner. I decided I wanted to develop bands again, so I left and I met some like-minded people who were creative and talented and joined up with them.
Great, great. And now a lot of people think, when they think of entertainment PR, it's glitz and glamour and movies and red carpets, but that's not all it is. So is there anything what's one thing that you would tell people that they should know about entertainment PR if they're interested in it?
Have something to fall back on. Now, approach it more like a discipline than something that's glamorous. I mean, if you can do PR well, you can do it for a rock band, a movie, or a widget. Mm-hmm. You know?
I found that the glamorous things were when the project's a little bit easier, per se, as if it's from a big studio or a big celebrity client. I find the work more challenging and more exciting with the smaller, more difficult clients, and they're the ones that are not as glamorous.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at my company, what's happened is we've kind of evolved into this sweet spot where we work on films and television shows that have a cause related to it. Like we worked on Milk, which dealt with gay and lesbian rights, and we worked on a film called Flow, which dealt with water issues in the environment. We've done a bunch of work at the UN. So for me, that's what makes it really exciting, is working on projects that you can put your heart and soul into and go into work every day and be really excited about it. But it is a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of sitting at your desk and sending out hundreds of pitch letters and working the phones and talking to people and doing things like this where you're out meeting people and talking to them so they kind of get to know you. I mean, it's really about your reputation. with the press. I mean, they really have to know you and trust you, and I mean, that's the one thing that's the most important about what we do.
Great. Yeah, it comes down to networking a lot of times, especially when you're trying to get your first job and trying to get a new position. So, do you have any tips on how to break into the right circles and be able to network effectively?
Oh, internships are very important.
Absolutely, internships. I mean, if somebody comes to me for an entry-level position and they've interned at a company that I know, or if they've interned for somebody that I know, I mean, they're head and shoulders above anybody else that I talk to. Mm-hmm. So internships, volunteering with different organizations, like if you're into film, like getting involved with film festivals, the ones here in New York or otherwise, that's a good way to kind of work your contacts.
Yeah, and in music, volunteering at CMJ in New York, which just ended, but, you know, just getting in there and being a part of everything you can be a part of, and experiencing what you think you want to do to make sure it is what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. And along those lines, are there any classes or anything that they can take now while in college to build up their skill sets, and do you recommend specializing in something or kind of taking a more general approach to PR? I'm
actually come from the field of, and maybe your college professors won't want to hear this, but I had a background of liberal arts education, and I found that actually helped me the best in my career in terms of writing, because writing is so important as a publicist, and oftentimes I find myself going through things and grammatically correcting things that other people have written and rewriting them, and expression through writing. So even creative writing classes are very important in terms of furthering a career in publicity.
And really for confidence, I highly recommend public speaking and debate classes. Debate particularly because really when you're doing this, you're arguing a point. You're getting out there and you're arguing why what you are promoting is the thing that this person needs to give their limited amount of column inches or, you know, TV time to. And you have to make a compelling case for that, and debate is wonderful for that, and public speaking is wonderful for confidence.
Yeah, I agree. Writing and public speaking, I think those are the two things that are probably that'll help you the most in this field. And also when you go and you interview somewhere for a job, it should be in a field where you know what they're doing, and you like what they're doing. Like, I can't tell you how many interns have come and sat down with me and they talk about my business, and I'm like, all right, so what movies do you see? And they can't name a movie that they like, or a director that they like, or even a television show. So you should channel your interest into the area that you're the most interested in, because, you know, we want people who are going to be enthusiastic about, you know, our industry.
Well, and additionally, it's the only way you're going to have longevity in your job. I mean, if the material can't hold your interest, there's no way you're going to be doing it for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. And kind of along those lines, what are your expectations when you're interviewing someone or when you're looking to hire someone? What do you expect from them? What will their responsibilities be? Things like that.
Enthusiasm is really something core to what we look for, because the nuts and bolts can be taught, enthusiasm can't be taught.
Yeah, right. And also writing, too. I find you can learn to write on the job, but I would prefer it if I didn't have to really teach somebody, you know, how to string a few sentences together, because it's really important.
And proofreading, because I actually got an email pitch today where the person was saying, I'm very detail-oriented, and they had spelled my last name wrong. And I actually, like a publicist, emailed them back and said, I really don't know how you're detailed-oriented when you spelled my last name wrong. So I think, you know, when you're going for interviews and you write your thank you note, or you come educated about what your interview is, you really, really do your background research. You have Google at your hands. You have so many opportunities now to really learn about the person that you're interviewing with that you really need to take those. I mean, you can go all the way through someone's website and find out if they have children, if they have a dog, if they, you know, what they look like, what their favorite movie is, and those are really important tools to bring with you to an interview.
Great.
And really something essential too is to walk in with a modicum of confidence at least, because, you know, if you're extremely nervous walking into something, as prepared as you are, you're not going to get it. I mean, the worst that can happen is that it doesn't become the opportunity for you, but confidence and relaxation are so important when you're going for an opportunity like this.
Yeah, and I mean, and you can actually rehearse. There's nothing wrong with like sitting down and kind of rehearsing how you think an interview is going to go and kind of trying it out on a friend. I mean, I do that when I'm doing a new business proposal or something. I sit down with my staff and I present it, and it's like, how do we do? And, you know, what should I change? So I think it's really important. And I have to back up exactly what you said about the detail-oriented, like checking people's names and spellings. I mean, there's no reason you should get somebody's name wrong or somebody's spelling wrong, because if I get a resume like that, I don't even make the call. I usually just throw it out, because if you can't check the spelling of somebody's name or something like that, then that speaks about you.
I have a little trick that I use in terms of checking people out first. I put in the ad, wherever I put the ad, do not attach resume, put it in the body of the email. And if anyone attaches anything to the email, they're instantly deleted because they didn't follow instructions. So it is the first wave of me being able to figure out if this person's going to listen to instructions that they receive.